We're back with another one, baby. We're going to dive into a very solid few days here on the Sooner or Later Sports Show. The Sooners are kicking butt. So I'm your host, Jay. Thank y'all for pulling up here on the YouTube channel and listening wherever podcasts are downloaded and listened to. While you're here, please wipe your feet. Like, subscribe, rate, review, give it 5 stars. You don't think we deserve it? Just give us 5 anyway and gift it. All right, so we've got the cavalry in here. We're going to bring the gentlemen in. We've got Coop. We got Chris. And, of course, we've got a lot to talk about because, guys, OU is broke. We got to talk about why OU is broke and why everybody else is alleging this. We got to talk about the latest commitments. And there is a commitment announcement happening on Tuesday. So we got to dive into who that's going to be, as well as who else may commit here in May. Because if I'm correct, we've got 2, if not 3 people on the docket. So, gentlemen, Coop, Chris, what's going on? Happy Sunday.
Chris, I'll let you knock it off.
Chris,
what's up, guys? It's Chris with a K here, the OVO General. Y'all already know.
Here he goes. Here he goes.
We'll leave that alone right now because today I got time. So any Texas fans that get in here, any Texas fans that want to talk some stuff, like I said, I got time.
He got time now.
Busy right now simply because there's some broke allegations. There's all this stuff that's going on. But I'm going to let Jay get to it. I'm going to let Coop have it right now. I'll just be right over here waiting.
Coop, happy Sunday, man. How you feeling?
Hold on a second. I got to count my pocket change here to help Oklahoma out. Let's see here.
I think my piggy bank is behind me somewhere.
I got 42 cents. Let's get it going.
I got $3.
It looks like you're showing. Oh, there we go. Hey.
I got my $3. I've got my $3, as Patrick would say. But no, yeah, Oklahoma's broke. And so we get to have some fun talking about how Oklahoma is, broke, right? Shout out to the Sooners snatching up the best defensive lineman in the portal. I think he is the best overall. And Dominic Williams pulling up. He decided to commit to Oklahoma. I lost my mind on the JP and Trav show on Thursday night because it happened while we were recording. I told all y'all that we was going to lose our minds on there. And guess what? We lost our minds and our pets' heads were falling off. It was crazy that it happened literally while we were having a conversation about them. And so shout out to that, man. I'm excited for that. So we got to go around table because we got to get opinions. I'll close us out. But Chris, we'll start with you. Dominic, commitment. What do you think that means for the Sooners?
It's huge for the Sooners. It gives you an established presence right there in the interior. I think, one thing that we've all glossed over, hopefully this is a good point to you guys and everybody in the chat, but I think a good point that we've all glossed over is the fact that we got the best D tackle, and that D tackle didn't even come from the SEC. And we got the best D tackle out of the portal.
Can't beat that.
So that should tell you some things right there, especially when there are SEC schools going after this kid. Everybody's going after this kid. So it wasn't just a thing of you just went and got a kid out of the portal. You went and got the best out of the portal. So other thing is that it gives guys like Stoney more time. It gives guys like Jaden Jackson more time, but you expect them to be in your rotation, right? Mm-hmm. So the thing is that you get to have an established guy that comes in there with Dejon Terry. And I think we may see some of the best of Dejon Terry. And it may not show up on a stat sheet, but with him being able to clog and be the kind of that anchor guy anyways for us and letting guys like Stoney, guys like Dominique Williams, guys like Jaden Jackson be able to get a little bit freaky, a little bit twitchy inside. We're gonna reap the benefits of that. So I'm definitely excited about it. I think it's a great move. Can't wait for him to get in there with Todd Bates. Can't wait for him to get in there with Smitty as well. But I think it's a thing that really, it helps you marry what you had in the room already, which was we have an established guy, we have a couple established guys, but we have a lot of high upside guys. Now you get to say, okay, we got our front end guys where we could legitimately see Terry, Williams, Downs, R. Mason Thomas, guys like that, and still be able to have a lot of production and Woolard too, Trace Ford, guys like that have experience. But now you get to say, hey, you younger guys, we're going to really kind of, circle the wagon with you guys midway through the season, but we're going to give you time to just really grow and develop as well. So I think you're going to be getting him, honestly, to me is a huge difference, because it puts us in that conversation of saying, if everything goes right with the offensive line and Jackson Arnold, there's no reason this team shouldn't win 10 to 11 games next year.
No, I love that. And that's a solid point, to even considering the snap numbers that we just added. So, Coop, adding a player like Dominic Williams, how you feeling on that? Now that your voice is back, how you feeling on it?
Yeah, right. It's about 90, 85%, somewhere right there. Well, ESPN, again, they're not kings of any recruiting services, but they had him as the number 4. I believe that they had Caden Proctor as number 1. Another O tackle, and then the running back from Oregon State, Martinez. And so and then they have him at number 4. So, but what it does is, like Chris said, it infuses experience with Lole and Williams coming in. A lot of experience comes in right from the get-go. And I double down on that is this allows Jaden Jackson and David Stone a baseline of snaps, as well as the rest of the defensive line, to go out there and say, listen, guys, you don't have to give us 400 snaps this year. You give us quality snaps, and it is quality snaps. And Jay, if I may say so, we looked at a couple of things, and I've got a little Excel spreadsheet going on, the old computadora. But I mean, you're looking at the second and third string defensive lines stronger than anything we've put out there since that brief little moment in 2020, but then going back even to 08, to where you've got just so many different guys who are out there. Listen, I don't think that Dom Williams is going to come into Oklahoma and right from the get-go be Tommy Harris, Gerald McCoy. I don't think he's like that extent, but he's right here. He is right underneath it. And, I made a comment about this sorry for going so long, but this takes away when you got guys who are able and capable of winning one-on-ones, and you got 4 D-line going out there, you can double team one of those cats. And then you're going to have to deal with one-on-ones with the other 75% of that D-line, or that D-line that's in rotation. Now you also got to factor in any blitzers that BB sends. So that immediately, it keeps the linebackers clean. It lets Kip, Kobe, Danny, Kanik, whoever's out there working, it lets them get to work. So what does this mean for the program? I think for the football part of it, it made us a lot better. And if you need to dig into that, and if you want us to dig into it, why does a top-tier DT make us better? You haven't been paying attention for quite a long time. But I think for a program, it shuts up a lot of people interior, and it says, listen, guys, we are willing to play the game when it makes sense. We're not going to throw this money at every single person. We're not going to throw all this money at every single opportunity that hits the portal. But Oklahoma does not have a piggy bank where you're counting the pennies. We've got the folks ready to go. And don't get it twisted. The last thing is, don't get it twisted that you saw a nice little contribution pop up right around that time. Because the people who are pulling strings with Lauren Chamberlain and everybody, and some of the people speaking earlier, they know where we need to focus that money.
Exactly. And it was pointed in here. First off, let me give a shout out to Stink Ass Cat. Thank you so much for the $20 supporting the channel. Like you always be pulling up, man. We appreciate that. But if OU isn't in the playoffs this year, which I think they will be ranked top 3 starting next season regardless, especially with all the experience we're bringing back. That 100% I agree with. So to go with both of y'all's point, you're exactly right. Bringing in a player like Dominic Williams gives you that experience that you need, and that's going to do nothing but help the younger players. Fun little nuggets for you all real quick. So going into the season, I also had a spreadsheet going here, in the little computador as well. But snap-wise, on the defensive line, Dejon Terry had 306 snaps last season on defense. The next person closest to him on the defensive line was Grayson Halton at 91.
Yeah, I was going to say 80 something. Yeah, 80,
right?
Yeah.
And then you had Sears had 11, Ashton Champ had 19, Marcus Strong had 2, and we had nobody on the D-line at that spot. 0 or 3 that had enough snaps. Dominic Williams brings in 411 snaps. Dominic brings in 477 snaps, and Jermaine Lole brings in 411. That's 1,100 snaps on the defensive line that you're bringing in. That was just from last season.
Yeah.
Just last season's number. For career, remember, Dominic started as a freshman at TCU, and he's a freshman All-American. He has over 1,000 snaps in his career in his first 2 years. 1,088 to be exact, with some very good grades. And when they went to the national championship, he was graded at like a 70 on the defensive line as a freshman. Like, that's just stupid, right? Lole, as mentioned in here, when I was on with JP and Trav, Jamar Kane shot a message, the defensive line coach for the Denver Broncos, former OU coach, shot a message to not only Travis while we were on there, he jumped in the chat, and Robert points it out here. He jumped in the chat and talked about how he loved Lole when he was at Arizona State with him. He said that, he's a very good player. The problem with Lole was health. He just couldn't stay healthy. Well, he had a great healthy season last year at Louisville. Dog. The biggest issue that we were terrified of going into the SEC on the defensive line is addressed. We're good.
Oh, it's
Our
done.
defense is now set to be a top 3 defense. The secondary is where we need. We've got the experience at zone. We got experience at man that we need. Linebackers, Stutzman's going to be he better be a Butkus finalist unless they decide to screw him a second time around, which I don't expect. SEC, he'll do it. Now we have the D-line. What more can you ask for, right?
I think the first 4 games of the season, you have to, you just have to weather the storm. Meaning you're going to play teams who are going to run a lot of tempo to try to counter all of that. So the whole thing is that, Houston, Tulane, Temple, even, I'm sure that they're going to do things to get the ball out of their quarterback's hands extremely, very quickly, just like you saw last year with Ark State, Tulsa, teams like that. So you're going to have to be ready for that. Then, obviously, week 4, Tennessee comes to town. You're going to have to be ready for that because they're going to run a lot of tempo. One of the things that I see being kind of a theme this year, especially for SEC teams, I don't think a lot of SEC teams are going to run tempo necessarily against us, but I do think that they're going to try to get their play off as quick as possible because they know we like to take our time with getting our plays. We like to wait to see what is their set, what are their formations. So the whole thing is that I'm excited about it because I believe you're going to have an opportunity in the SEC to really turn a lot of heads because teams are going to play you straight up because they're not going to have that they're not going to have any other choice but to play you straight up, but to play a physical brand of football. Why? Because that's how those teams are built. Outside of Texas, maybe you could say Alabama if everything is churning there with the wide receivers for DeBoer, in my opinion. And obviously, you could probably put Mizzou in that category. And obviously, like Tennessee, we just talked about them. But there's not going to be too many other teams that are not going to try to play a physical, very, very physically imposing style of football against you. So you really have a chance to have a really good year on the edge and in the interior as well. And the biggest thing I want people to understand is don't go in the season with the expectation that Dominic Williams is going to have double-digit sacks or he's going to have 8 or 9 sacks. My uncle, he's a big believer in this. He says, hey, give me that athletic nose tackle or that athletic interior D lineman that will disrupt you to the point where he takes away part of your game plan. And when he does that, he's going to be so disruptive that you're going to say, screw running up the middle. We're going to try to go attack the edges. And if you can set the edge and you're doing that, then you turn the opposing team into a one-dimensional team. So I'm just so excited, man. I mean, it's a great pickup.
Same. That's kind of the key thing here is shoring up the spots where we need the most help. We did it as well as offensive line. We talked about it last week. You got Branson Hickman at the center spot. The biggest question that we had. I mean, we've added tackles or whatnot. With next to Sexton and Taylor, you added Spencer Brown, who has experience in Michigan State. You had Michael Tarkin, who played at Florida, went to USC, and now is here. Beadenbow really liked him back before he went to Florida. Liked him when he got in the portal at Florida. So obviously he sees something that he can leverage him with. But The biggest thing was losing Troy Everett at that center spot. We had to shore that up. We went and got one of the highest graded centers in college football. And the best part about all this is, too, we got these dudes on like 1, maybe 2-year rentals. And I don't think I've emphasized this every video, every time I've talked about it, but I don't think it's resonating with them thoroughly. It's not getting there. It's not getting to the brain. We're not alienating our own players. That's the best part. They understand, yes, we could use an experienced player in here to not only help us on the field, but to help teach us off the field how to perform on the field. Having a veteran presence, that's what you need. That's what you got. And now we've got that. And yeah, Sooner Cowboy, I think we can get to this point. You know, Jordan didn't allow a running touchdown for 1.5 years. That's also like questions around the SEC or whatnot. But that's the type of defense I think we can get to. I think we can get there. And like you said, Chris, you know, DeBoer, we got questions around him. The only question we have now is that since for the first time he's taken a job and they've actually started losing some talent, some of the top tier talent, what does he do with the current talent there? Which I still believe that he had some of the best talent. I think he has a little bit better talent at Alabama than he did at Washington, just by a smidge. I guess the question is going to be, what does he do with Jalen Milroe? So,
yeah, he doesn't have the you know, the camaraderie, the team that's been together for 2 years. I think he was building that thing for a while, but they caught fire. It wasn't lightning bottle, they caught fire.
Yeah, really good.
Biggest thing for him, like I said, our receivers are the ones who really dictate how successful that offense is going to be.
Yeah.
You saw, I'm probably going to butcher his name, but Odunze, you saw what he was up there doing. It felt like every route he ran, he had an option to do whatever the hell he wanted to do once he came out of his break. Because I was like, I don't know where this guy is going to go, because some of the routes, I was like, is he running a fade route, or I'm like, what is he doing? Yeah, so yeah, I mean, but I think that they're going to be really good. I'm really excited for that game. I'm hopeful Ty gets to come to that one here in Norman. That's going to be pretty fun in November.
Yeah, hopefully he's in town. We'll cross our fingers and toes that Ty's at least or able to get here. We'll find a way to get that man here. So, I think that was the big pickup for the weekend. Having Dominic shores up that defensive line, something that we've all been hoping for. Yeah. We had a few portals out. We saw Gavin Freeman, our return guy, as well as quarterback General Booty hit the portal. Y'all know me. I had a love for General Booty. I bought all his shirts just to support him in the Oklahoma Children's Hospital because I thought that was pretty dope. He has the best name in college football, following the long line of Booty players of John David Booty and Josh Booty, his uncles. And saddens me that he's bounced out. Now, I know, a few schools going to probably give him an opportunity. There was no chance for him. There was no path for him to start here, unfortunately. And he wants the opportunity to. Totally get it. Then Gavin Freeman's got a new home. Y'all see that? Everybody see the Gavin Freeman home? Chris, you see that new home for Gavin Freeman? I was wondering if you synced it. I barely synced it. Gavin Freeman is a poke now, guys. He is at Oklahoma State. Yes, Unc. I love that booty. I am a fan of booty.
So you want to talk about that? Do you want to talk about Freeman going down there?
Yeah, we talk about Freeman going to O State. I know there's some people. I've saw some people. I put it to you like this: the response was exactly what I expected from Sooner fans. Everybody told him good luck. Everybody thanked him for being there. There was a lot of good luck to you, my man. Thanks for being a Sooner in the comments when I looked. A lot of that, which I am very proud of us for that because I knew that we would do that.
I had a friend message me and say, Gavin, he posted the clip in the group chat and was like, oh, he was like, Gavin Freeman's going to OSU. And I think he was trying to take a dig at me. And the only thing that I said was, hey, he's going to be a smaller Dylan Stone or whatever. Yeah, he's going to be one of those guys for you. I was like, I do hope it works out for you guys. But I was like, if anybody could get the best out of Gavin, it would be Gundy, to be honest with you, because he's a Gundy type of guy.
That's true.
Put him in that slot, let him work. I think once they sure up his hands a little bit down there, which they will, because I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. Obviously, I hate OSU just as much as the next person, but I mean,
Fair.
one thing that I will say is, look, Gundy's a great developer. I mean, he puts great developers, or he hires great developers too. So I mean, I have no doubt that Casey Dunn and all of them will get it situated. Now, I mean, is it going to look great down there? I don't know. I mean, I've been on record as saying I think OSU should really take over the Big 12, but I don't know. I think Utah and Arizona and all of them have something to say about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I hope G Free could get loose down there.
Hey, I'm just going to be 100% real. Just like I said at the beginning of last year when we were talking about this new Big 12, I don't care. Like, Gavin, I hope you're successful. I hope you run all the jet sweeps that you can run. You know, it just like I'm going to use at this moment is like, listen, I don't hate OSU. I don't spend much time talking about OSU. I don't even spend any time thinking about OSU. Listen, anything OU in the past, I mean, since Stoops, I'm just say it this way. Was there ever, outside of the Vince Young Texas team, was there ever a team in the Big 12 that really just came up and just beat OU? Or was it bad roster management, bad coaching, and it was an OU's problem? OU's biggest problem in the Big 12 has been OU. It hasn't been another team.
Yeah.
So
it's always been that.
Listen, if you're a fan of another team, listen, I don't hate. I mean, I hate Texas fans more than I hate Texas, the university, and it's just because I'm looking at you and I'm like, why are you talking? Like, why? Like, where does this come from? Like, usually a position of like authority and dominance comes from success. Where is that at? Like, you know, Missouri, Texas fans are exactly like Missouri fans right now. You had a year to where you did some good things, and all of a sudden you think that you run it. No. Like, there's a lot of people in the Big 12. There's a lot of people in the SEC. There's a lot of people in the Pac-12 and the Big 10. Don't know who the hell Missouri is. Like, name all the teams in the Big 10. 5 out of 10 fans would leave Missouri off if they were naming the SEC. Like, it just would happen. They would be like, So anyway, so I just say this is what's crazy is going into the season last year, 2 names that we heard were stepping up to make a run were Gavin Freeman and Josiah Wagner. So what does that mean for this team? Guys, and I'm going to address something from earlier. We are loaded. There's a lot of talent on this team. And there's a lot of guys who want to go take their talent and put it to use. So now we don't have guys who don't belong in college football on this roster. Thank you, Lincoln Riley. We got guys who can go play and they want to go play. So now we are you're whoever needs to go, we want to help you. And Sooner Nation, we will say, hey, we'll keep our eye on you. Because guess what? There's a lot of Twitter fans. If Gavin Freeman does anything good, they're going to say, hey, O-State, you're welcome. Yeah, you got to. Yeah, you couldn't do it with your own players. You had to take our cast-offs. No,
and that's a great point. A great point. Me and my we talked about that, and he said, you know, that's the interesting thing about it is the fact that the guys that are portaling out are not going to, you know, a year, 2 years ago, so they're going to Texas State. No knock on Texas State, anybody, but now our guys are going to, you know, P5.
Yeah,
right.
So
so I mean, it's one of those things where it makes you feel better. Justin Harrington, Wagner, Gavin Freeman. Now you're saying that, hey, now this is kind of making more sense because you're getting to that point now where when you're shuffling players out, it's not necessarily replacing, you're reloading. Like
you're upgrading. Yeah, you're upgrading on. Yeah.
Better.
And listen, it started with Aguebu. You got Aguebu. You've got Gavin. There's people that left, and who was that? Josh Eaton. So you got guys like Keith Lawrence, but at the same time, there's not one person who left this team that were, because we were talking about it in one of the Discord chats about like potentially OU playing Oregon. And God bless DG, but throw a jump ball deep on this defense. Throw one of those underthrown balls deep on this defense. And
yeah, this secondary be ready for that. This secondary is ready and willing and able to go completely after that, right?
The F around and find out, chart is in play. And so, Chuck, you brought up the question of, so we used to call people like the only reason why you could get them is getting a bag. Mm-hmm. That is true. We were okay with that. We were okay with being like, listen, if you do not want to show up at Oklahoma and win on your own accord and take what we're willing to give you because you're getting something in NIL when you show up. We used to be like that. But I think that Brent Venables realizes that you can't live that way. You can't live that way. And we saw it with who was the offensive lineman out of Tennessee? Lance Hurd.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that one taught us a lot. That was somebody that we needed. And so now we are into the spots where like, all right, if the spice is right, let's go get somebody. Now, Dom Williams was not – the numbers like $4 million weren't being floated out there. Like, they were asking for some big numbers, but those numbers never got up to the $2 million, $3 million in legitimacy. So if you're looking back into Twitter and pulling up, I heard that Oklahoma offered him $1.9 million. Shut up. Like, you're reading a tweet from a person who's going, let's see what happens if I type this.
Someone who's mad.
Yeah, that's not the case. So do I want every single mercenary trying to show up in Oklahoma and being like, hey, listen, they paying out, so let's go get it? No, but I'm going to say this. We trust in Venables, and he's going to pick which areas we want to go after and which areas we want to say, this is good. Because we need somebody to come in who is a culture person, and you saw the scriptures that the guy was quoting, and you saw the character, and you saw his mom. We've talked with his coach or his handler, his agent. We think we might get him on the show. Like, there's some guys doing it dead wrong, and there's guys doing it right. And I really think in the end that the coach, the handler, he wanted to do it right, and he knew that because you can't go crazy. You can't be psychotic because the family will see right through that. You got to at least have some intelligence in there. So I think the family's happy. Obviously, Oklahoma fans are happy, and anybody who's unhappy, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, and to add to that, Coach Dent jumped in. Appreciate you, Coach, pulling up with us. Yeah, BV done a great job of identifying where he has a void, and they're filling that void like that. And that's the beauty of it, right? The biggest, when I talk about the offensive line, our biggest thing it's we have a lot of young guys, right? The offensive line is very young, and we came into the snaps. Pull up the good old spreadsheet again. I looked at those offensive line snaps that we had coming back, man, and it was low. It was low as far as like the total number right now because we had about 800, which is not bad, but you had two dudes over 300 in Sexton and Everett. Outside of that, everybody was 47, and that's it. It was the highest afterwards, and that was Jake Taylor had 47 snaps. Everybody else didn't have had 4 snaps for the most part. And so you bring in Hickman, who had a bunch of snaps as an offensive lineman. Now we're going to start seeing we'll get the experience on that offensive line we need. Because Hickman is older, he'll be able to help teach the young players too, and then they'll be able to move up. And so in talking NIL, I'll give a kind of little spiel on that, right? I think the one thing to keep in mind when it comes to the NIL stuff is this. And I joked about the Oklahoma broke. That's why I sent that to Chris earlier. He's asking me, he was talking about, I sent Oklahoma broke, and he was cracking up. Probably fell out of his chair on that one. Didn't drop the baby, I hope. I hope the baby didn't fall. But I know you was laughing hard, like for real, Oklahoma broke. But, the joke everybody was making, so Oklahoma's broke because we were losing out on some of these deals. Like Coop mentioned the Lance Hurd one, right? Who ended up at Tennessee. Well, the other thing, too, is that we recognize who you need to pay for and who you don't have to pay for, right? We've seen Bill Bedenbaugh put together some elite offensive lines with players that he has, with finding diamonds in the rough and getting them in and then watching them shoot up the rankings. We've seen that recently, right? You've seen certain players jump from no star status to 3 to 4, high 3 to 4, and almost 5-star status quickly, because it's all about identifying the talent that's going to work for what we're trying to do. The other thing with that is that in a lot of those situations, their goal is to not be as transactional as those situations. I mean, Dominic mentioned it when he signed, when he accepted the commitment. He's like, he appreciates them being genuine. They probably told him, like, look, man, we know you want money. Everybody wants money. How hard are you going to work? Like, that's what we care about, right? How hard are you going to work, and how much you going to listen to us helping you get developed into going to the next level? If you're willing to do that, we're willing to have a conversation. That's where things change. And when you start looking at the players that we recruit, that's why we recruit who we recruit on purpose. Some situations we do lose. It's recruiting. You're going to lose some. It's impossible to bat 1,000. That's why no baseball player has ever done it. We're going to win some, we're going to lose some, but think about the players we go after. We always go after specific types that's not only going to fit what we can do, but if we need to pay it, Dominic shows you that's the type of player we want to pay for. We would definitely pay for some defensive linemen if we had defensive linemen that we felt like was going to change the game. How do you think we got Stoney? How do you think we got Jaden Jackson, right? Danny Okoye, right? Yep. Those are game-changing type players coming into this class. So Wyatt Gilmore, right? You go after the ones, okay, I think you can change the game for what we want to do. We'll pay for you. Hence why we took a very large offensive line, Eddie Pierre-Louis, who's coming this summer. Why do you think that offensive line class was so big and the defensive line class was so big? We took our money and we threw it at those positions because we're like, all right, we need to beef these up. Give us some more big dudes in the trenches so that when we go into SEC, we show out. So, yeah, man, EPL showing up in June. The line's going to be – I think the line will be fine. I think the line being young, there's going to be a lot of work and refining to do. But adding a Hickman takes a lot of pressure off the interior. The beauty of Jackson Arnold being able to be mobile the way he is, his ability to move in the pocket, as long as that interior is fine, he'll figure out how to get away from the edges. He'll make the edges work on his own. So I'm not stressed.
Can I ask you guys how many? Seth Luttrell was pretty successful in offense as a head coach, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
How many Joe Moores was he in the finals for? Oh, you're thinking. The answer's none. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say it's none. Like, you can be successful without a Joe Moore competing line. And let's be honest, the Joe Moore Award is a little BS anyway, because there have been some lines that won the Joe Moore Award. And I mean, look at us. When we won it in 2018, Alabama went and showed us what awards meant. They pushed our guys absolutely everywhere. So I don't give a crap about, this is a top, predicted as the top 10 offensive line in the nation. That means nothing. One injury takes that away. One regression takes that away. One argument in the locker room takes that one away. So what do I want? I want guys who are willing to go out and prove that they're not bums. I want guys who are young, hungry, and willing to compete. And I want some competitive depth in that damn room so that you can't let some dudes get comfortable. And so what ends up happening? Iron sharpens iron, right? The tough times make tough men. So you got a great coach, you got great pieces. We just don't have experience. So the whole offensive staff right now is just going, all right, we just need to take our plan and run. And I really do believe that this offensive line is going to be good this year.
Well,
not great.
Let me answer that real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Branson Hickman brings us 2,436 snaps. 952 last year because SMU ran that, pretty fast, high-octane offense. Yeah. He brings us 952 snaps, and with him, Sexton got you a good 400 snaps. So you're bringing in a lot of big experience here. I'm excited about that. Go ahead, Chris.
I think one thing that we are overlooking, and it's something I definitely wanted to talk about on the pod pretty soon, is the fact that, look, Seth Luttrell, man, is a different coach than Levy.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that he may end up having a better grasp, a better understanding of game flow, and not making us go out there and not letting us go out there and have 50-second drives and things like that. And don't get me wrong, when Levy was aggressive, that was when he was the best. but I feel like watching a lot. I tell people all the time, Jay. You know, I've said this. Coop, you've heard me say it too. Go watch the Mason Fine highlights. Go watch Jason Bean highlight. Go watch North Texas highlights when Seth Luttrell was there. The offense was extremely, extremely aggressive. They wanted to get up and down the field. No play was wasted. So I think the whole thing that people need to understand is that he's going to come in here and the offense is going to look a similar, but they're going to I think he's going to have a better feel for the game, and he's not going to be stubborn and try to say, hey, no matter what we're doing, get everybody to the line so we can run the same play 3 times. We're not doing any of that anymore. No play is going to be wasted, people. I think people are going to be really, really happy with what they get with Seth Luttrell as an offensive coordinator.
Pleasantly surprised is what everybody's going to be. They're going to be pleasantly surprised. Fabichi Wewu brings you 713 snaps also, right?
And he's an award winner. He's an award. He's an award winner. Hatchett's an award winner. Hickman. I mean, like, these guys are all really good. So that's where I'm saying is, like, Sexton, a lot of people believe is one of the next guys in line, right? You got Hatchett's going to be healthy here in June. You've got Hickman comes in and he's a baller. Like, you've got 5 or 6 pieces on this offensive line that you're like, this is great. This is great stuff. We still have what is today? May 5th. Happy Cinco de Mayo and happy birthday to my beautiful daughter tomorrow. But we have still a good amount of time. More folks getting healthy and coming in, ready to rock. So, like, let's just back off on the offensive line because it didn't look good in February.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing is that when you bring in and you look at all of the collective of transfers that we've brought in, and I put it to you like this. I see Bedenbaugh molding all these players and putting it together the way we need it to be done. I think it'd be fine. Like I said, we got Wewu, who was a freshman All-American for his conference. He was really good. Adding him, Gary Hatchett, who's on the award-winning line, who's getting healthy, will be back. Like, the offensive line, it's kind of like we felt like about wide receivers last year. We talked about this numerous times. We talked about the wide receiver room, a little nervous about that. Now we have no reason to be. But let's move on to this next thing, though, real quick. Hey, have y'all recognized portal's over? We really lose nobody. Chris alluded to this in the beginning, right? He pointed out how, when you saw people going into the portal, wasn't too many. Told y'all that, didn't I? Told y'all that I didn't think that we was going to really lose anybody that's going to change the game for us, because I think a lot of these kids want to see things through. Now, the Josiah Wagner leave, I had a funny feeling about it only because he was falling in the depth chart. He just couldn't stay healthy. Like, Chris mentioned this. He was getting rave reviews in the fall. Then he played 7 games, but he was nicked up. Didn't really finish. Now, he had to go ahead and roll out. Freeman made sense because you bring in a Deion Burks. Freeman was supposed to try to move into that Stoops position. I think Burks has got that for the next year, maybe 2, if he sticks around for 2.
Let Bass get healthy. Let Bass get healthy.
And then Bass get healthy. Good Lord.
We don't even talk about him.
2 1/4, 17 times. Jeez Louise.
We don't even talk about him. And, like, he's the lost soul because he took one of those PWO NILs. And, I mean, this cat is just, I mean, he's like a smaller, faster Tim Tebow type of an athlete. And he is just a freak of nature. And I'm excited for him.
Excited about him getting healthy. And then, so the way this team is looking, a lot of these kids, it feels like they just want to see it through. Again, I'm going to say this again, just so we have it on record every time I talk about this. Only time I'm concerned is December. I think in December we'll see a little bit of an exodus. But I don't see anything right now. I think that this is that everybody wants to see where they're at, and then they're going to see what it looks like in the SEC. They may get excited, decide December, shoot, I want to stay in the rotation, because the even better thing for them is staying healthy is just as important, especially once you try to go pro, man. You want to save those snaps as much as possible so that you can survive the grind of the NFL. And the SEC is a grind, man. It's a bunch of muscular dudes leveling folks. So Besides that, gentlemen, 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 gentlemen. How y'all feel? Y'all think we ready for the SEC? Chris, how you feeling? How ready do you think we are for the
I
SEC?
definitely think that we're ready for the SEC. And look, what I'm about to say can be said for any team. Let me put that disclaimer out there. But when you look at the schedule, man, as we get closer and closer to the season, I'm thinking, man, this schedule could be the biggest gauntlet that we've had in a while, but it could also be the biggest dud as well. Because
That's
Yeah.
true. That is so true.
there are some teams on this schedule that you're just like, hell, South Carolina may end up being a harder game than going to Ole Miss, to be honest with you, just because. Auburn may end up being the game that we thought, okay, well, that's the Mizzou game. It's going to kind of throw us back into that rivalry because of everything that's went down with Neri and Green and all the stuff that they've been throwing back and forth on Twitter like some idiots. But the whole thing is that you're sitting there just like, wow, like, there's some teams on here that could end up slipping. And I think that every year I have a funny feeling about a team, about how a season is going to go. I usually trust my gut on it. And this year, I just don't think Ole Miss is going to live up to the hype, to be honest with you. I remember when Brett Huntley was there at UCLA, I told my uncle, I don't know, man. I know everybody's happy with him. And Jim Moore, I just don't see it. And ever since then, I've always trusted my gut because there's one team that I'm sitting there saying, I don't know. Last year it was Tennessee. So, I mean, biggest thing is that take it 3 games at a time. I think that you got your guys. I think that you have the perfect no, it's not perfect. I think let me say semi-perfect non-conference game. I would have loved for us to be able to have somebody in there that was like, you know, top dog, something like that, something like that. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. But we have Tulane, right? Tulane is going to, even though they probably lost a lot, and they're still going to be the same stingy team, and it's still a lot of leftover talent from the old head ball coach who was at Houston. Houston's going to come here, and I guarantee they're going to have some really interesting concepts for us simply because of him. So I think everybody respects him as a coach, and I respect the product that he left down there at Tulane. Should we beat both teams by 30? Yes. But I think that you have a chance to go and walk in there with 4 legitimate games to be able to say, is Jackson Arnold that guy or not, right? But I think that the offensive line issues will be fixed because guys are going to be healthy, and you have so much talent in that room. I think this is the most talented room that Beaton Bow has had in a few years. Last thing I'll add, defense, man. I mean, you're returning so much of your production, and you just added Dominique Wilkins. If everything stands as it is, you're going to get all the production in the world from that front 7. I'm so excited to see what Zach Alley does with them because, guys, I challenge you again. Go watch Jacksonville State highlights, man. That defense was electric, and people were moving. And the thing is that I think that he's going to come in and give BV the chance to actually be the CEO instead of being the DC. So I'll leave it at that because I'm not going to take shots at who.
Of course, right. We try to keep it family friendly. I guess we can call it that. I don't know, but Coach Dent made a good mention. Ole Miss is loaded with who they picked up, and me and PG talked about this on his show. Video should drop, I think, sometime tomorrow about Ole Miss and kind of how loaded they are and who they brought in, which is good. But they're top heavy, right? The question is, what does it look like when you get to the 2s? And if you have to go and dip into your 3s, especially if you're running the right type of tempo, you can run some of those dudes off the field. I think we have the depth and the conditioning because of Schmitty to be prepared for people to try to run us off the field, which that's the only thing I care about. As long as we're nicely conditioned, which they're going to be nicely conditioned this summer, we can keep that consistency. I think we are going to be fine. Coop, SEC ready? Confirm.
Yes. We're SEC ready. The team, the SEC struggles that we have been playing ridiculously good teams in the playoffs 45 minutes from their house. Like, I was just looking in the 20, when we played Bama, they have 11 guys get drafted. Looking at the first round, I just freaking gave it up on LSU because, they got Joe Burrow, who had one of the greatest college seasons ever, and Justin Jefferson, who he's kind of good in the NFL. So we'll go ahead and say that he's pretty good at his job. And, not to mention other kids, but no, listen, the SEC, what makes the SEC tough is you've got the fertile recruiting ground. So when you've got guys at Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Tennessee, even their backups are bigger guys. They may not have the skill set to ever do anything, but they're bigger people. So instead of playing your offensive lineman pushing around 240, 250 pound defensive lineman, you're pushing around 290, 310. And that's what it is. So that's why we really, really focus on the depth as a massive necessity for this team. Is it's not the fact that, you take 5 of our best defensive linemen and say, you know what, these guys are they're not strong enough to put a full year in. There's no SEC team that has 4 good defensive linemen and they cap it right there and they're successful. You got to have a rotation. You got to have bodies coming in. You got to have somebody to step in when one of your number one guys is nursing an ankle or a shoulder or a pinky finger or something like that. So when it comes to the rest of the SEC, yeah, I think that Ole Miss, that's a mercenary team. When have we seen this work one time? Never. And they got a receiver transfer that's pretty good, but Quinshon Judkins is one of the best running backs in college football, and he bounced. He said he's out. So I think that with Coach Denton, talking about how Ole Miss is top heavy, it's still Jackson Dart. Like, we've seen Jackson Dart be really, really good and really, really So there's not a quarterback in the SEC as of right now that I'm like, I'm a little worried about that guy.
He is.
Yeah, that's true.
He is a guy that has all the potential in the world, but he kind of, I don't know. It just feels like he never really will ever hit that ceiling, right? It looks he plays underneath the ceiling. He never will go up and above and burst out of that. Last thing I'll say about Ole Miss, since we're just talking about them, Pete Golding's still there. So I mean, at the end of the day, I don't because 3-4 games before they play us, they'll go out there and have the best looking defense, and they'll come out there and he's got Key Lawrence at playing edge. I mean, I don't know. I'm just I don't know what he's going to do.
Jay, with what you just said, yes. And somebody brought up Key Lawrence earlier. Key Lawrence left Oklahoma because he did not see a path of him being on the field. We know what Key Lawrence was. Key Lawrence still is that guy. And Key Lawrence sure as hell ain't going to Ole Miss to become a better defensive player. Yeah. Like, he is going to be who he is. 100%, right? We can all agree on that one. Now I want to roll up to one thing. Cook to Burden. Jay, when we were talking about the depth at safety and the innate desire to go put your hands on folks, what did you say about early in the games in the SEC when we were at the spring game?
Oh, yeah. So I sense that you're going to see a whole bunch of personal fouls. You're going to see some not ejections, but you're going to see some people get hit just to set the tone. It's going to be that don't come across my middle.
Yeah.
Don't smell my middle.
We always tell Chris, don't be so extra, right? That's one of the things we say to Chris all the time. But I'll say this is cook to Burden. There's going to be a time. Listen, there's a lot of frustration with Missouri from the coaching staff. It's more mature from the coaching staff and the team, outside of Twitter. But I promise you, Burden, if he has a good game when we play Missouri, he is going to have to earn every single ounce of it, because he's going to have a bracket and he's going to have people hitting him. When we played Kansas last year, I said, go out to Kobe and you make him tackle you 3, 4, 5 times, and we'll see how engaged in the game he is, because he's got to actually mix it up. Guys, Burden, I don't want Burden to be hurt, but there's not going to be somebody who doesn't receive a message from this
business
defense.
Decision, as Hank just pointed out.
Exactly.
It's the business decisions on the field. They're gonna look at those coming across the middle and somebody getting a head knocked off. Like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna have to, keep my hands back. So, but with that, let's let's get ready to wrap this thing up. We've got commitment coming up on Tuesday. It was announced recently. One commitment that's got your boy excited. It's going to be our guy Tristan Haynes, the corner out of Carl Albert, 6'2", 160. Georgia was heavy on him, and so was
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame was definitely wanting him. And he has updated. Let me pull him up. He has it set to where he will be going. He'll be committing on the 7th, which I'm going to share that for y'all now. Look, I know, I talk about, some recruits that we got to have, and we got to have this dude. He's a lockdown corner. He's one of those corners that when he's out there, he puts pressure on him. Kind of like we saw with Cortland Guillory. If you watch the film on him, if you watch when I did the video on his commitment, Cortland likes to get his hands on people right there at the line of scrimmage and make you decide how and tell you where you're going to go. That's also how Haynes plays the game. And we do definitely need to lay hands on him. So I'm going to give it to the guys. Coop, Chris, how you feeling about this guy? Y'all think we got a chance of pulling this one in?
If I did predictions, I would say this one's a lockdown. This just is I've had conversation. Yes, exactly. I've had conversation with a couple of different of our pro people that we like, the other insiders across the state, and when you look at Gilroy and you look at Tristan Haynes, they're big guys. How many times have we been tossing out a 5'9" guy against a 6'5" guy, and he is just, Johnny Wilson just caught another ball the other day, against our defensive backs. I don't know how many times I saw Broyles running, just, saw the back of his jersey. I still see it. And so, yeah, this continues to go with size, because when you are a little bit bigger, you can be a half a step slow and still be in position. You can be a half a step off and still be in position. This continues, the trends, one, of bringing in Oklahoma guys, two, having a plan and sticking to the plan, and number three, not giving up. I mean, there was a time where Tristan Haynes was, his eyes were golden domed, and we continued to just not panic and keep after it. So yeah, let's keep it going. This is terrific, because whenever a cornerback is 6 foot plus, I'm happy.
Chris, you saw this man.
Seems
you
like
kept a little eye on him.
Well, I was gonna say, seems like a Valai guy. Valai definitely likes those physical, tall DBs, especially from his days seeing him at Alabama. That's all he had, especially in those playoffs, right? Biggest thing is that recruiting Oklahoma very well. Yeah. I think the biggest thing is to keep doing that and keep getting your best, because if you're getting the best in your state, then that means something. And these kids, these what was it, 24, 25 different things like that. Like, you have, man, Oklahoma is rich with some talent right now. And so it's great to see that be prioritized and all of that as well. But the kid, I mean, those Carl Albert kids out there are doing amazing things, man. They're doing really amazing things. Hey,
Yeah.
I got a question for you, just as a side note, just a side question. Is Nickens going to Carl Albert, or is he staying at Douglas?
I believe he's still at Douglas. I haven't heard anything about him transferring to schools, but have you heard something?
No, I mean, that the rumor was that Douglas was kind of a pit stop for some odd, weird reason, and Carl Albert for football was going to be the thing. So I really don't know. I mean, that's kind of what the word was around town, but I haven't heard anything else that could really back that up, and that was months and months ago. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. I haven't heard anything about him. I haven't heard about him saying that he was. Yeah, An article came out May 2nd saying that I'm committed to helping Douglas football program turn around. So it doesn't sound like he's going anywhere. So no Nickens there to add to all the talent there at Carl Albert. But shoot, Tristan and them probably going to be going for a third championship playing like this. Now, I don't know who the quarterback is at Carl Albert after Sperry decided to go back home. The family thought it made more sense for them to be back there, with mom commuting back and forth. But as y'all can see, Haynes can play. Right? Mans can play. And he's one of those that you got to have. We have to win this. And then, which I think we do seal the deal. I think Tuesday we get the third Carl Albert player to come to Oklahoma and, wrap this bad boy up. So I think the last one is Ugamora, the offensive lineman out of Elgin, Oklahoma, transferred in from North Carolina. I believe it's military base because, Elgin is right outside of Lawton. And so, their program is definitely growing. I believe that he's most likely, that's why he's there. I know that he has a commitment on the 21st. And I think that's the only one that's left for in-state players that we're going after. I think that's the last one for May. Am I missing anybody?
I think that's it. I think that's it.
I think that's it. Well, that's going to add to the class. Right now, Oklahoma is sitting at, I know everybody's probably curious about rankings. 247 has us sitting at 6th with our 14 commits, right behind Clemson, USC, LSU, Ohio State, and Notre Dame. I don't think anybody's going to pass Notre Dame for a while until they start seeing decommitments. And then On 3 has us at 12th, and I believe Rivals has us rated in like the top 10. So once again, we'll finish. We keep this up. We'll finish with another top 10 class.
Yeah.
We're number 4 at Rivals. So 4 at Rivals, 12 at On 3. It's crazy with these discrepancies in 6th at 247. Just look at it, just all over the place. Right? 6, 4, 12. On 3 really hates us.
We got a little bit under 3 minutes to go. I got a little rant to go on.
Go ahead. Close us out.
Rant.
Pull out my Palm Pilot. Let me check off the list, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, a few years ago, I got into a Texas Twitter space, okay? I went in there.
Lord.
I went in there gun-ho. I walked in there. I looked like Drewski on that one meme. I walked in there. Hey, I said, what's happening? I'm standing on business. What are we doing today? So anyways, I got in there, and I was told that Oklahoma was poor. Oklahoma was a poverty program. Oklahoma was $1 billion in debt because our Joe C. and our head administration had made boneheaded decisions. I was told that once NIL becomes a real live thing in the NCAA, that Texas players would stay home. Texas would be able to close the doors on the state, and they wouldn't have players leak out, and that OU would now be would be behind Texas A&M and Texas for getting players, and that we would become SMU, the TCUs, the Baylors. Y'all want me to stop? Or y'all want me to keep going? So I was told that we will become those type of schools. I'm here to tell you now, Texas people, obviously some of them are around, some of them ain't around right now, and they know why. But I'm just saying, OU ain't broke, and we ain't never been broke, and we may just have more money than y'all.
Love it.
Hey, so and my opinion goes this far with people, right?
Fair.
OU reported $60 million in contributions to the athletic department in 2022 before we decided to let's up this. $200 million in revenue in 2022. Like, the internet's there. You're using the damn thing to go on Twitter. Guys, don't interact with Missouri, USC, and Texas. Why?
Unless you like fighting with people, then I'll let you do it.
Yeah, if you just want to fight, just have at it. But if you are literally hurt by anything one of these three programs say, it's the reason why they're coming after it is, number one, Missouri. I've already made half the country, I don't know who the hell they are. But USC and Texas are teams that should be traditionally much, much better than they are, and they're not. So when you can't get better, and Texas is back for a decade, what do? You got to bring everybody to you since you can't catch up to them. And that's the fan base. Plus, anytime that you say something about Oklahoma, like putting out a top 25 when you're some random dude, and people are like, you left Oklahoma out. He did it so that you would say, hey, you left Oklahoma out, because it just helped him. So just ignore it. Don't jump in there, because all these jackwagons that are bringing this heat at OU on Twitter, all they want is more recognition. So, and as a USC fan, listen, I think that the twilight on Lincoln Riley hate, it's over. We are a better program. We are looking like a better program for a long time. We have had top 5 classes back-to-back years. Jay, I do hate your opinions. But
fair point.
USC, now, if you and your fan base really just want us to let you know what's going to happen again this year, don't be mad at us. We're just telling you what's about to happen. Like when it's Texas, when I'm telling them what's about to happen, it's so that they understand that they still suck. You know who you are. And I'm pretty sure that you're happy that, what's his name, still not there. But with Lincoln, at least you got an opportunity. Now, I think this year you're gonna have a rude awakening, and it's going to be tough. But I don't hate USC anymore. But when OSU fans and Missouri fans and Texas fans are chirping at it, listen, man. I don't take financial advice from homeless folks. I'm not going to take winning advice from people who can't do it.
I mean, that's fair. And Roger, I'm kind of a little different than Coop on that. I think y'all will be fine, especially bringing in that defensive line coach from UCLA. Yeah, I think that was a damn good hire.
I just
oh, that was a great hire.
It's fine. Baffling, man. It's just crazy that this is like at the basically right after the height of COVID, and I was told all these things, and I was just like, man. I was like, we still here.
Still here.
Yeah.
As long and what I'm hearing is that, and as we wrap up with a little USC talk for my guy Roger here, I'm hearing that Riley isn't involved in any of the defensive side. He's really stepped away and hasn't said what type he wants. He's like, do your thing. You guys will be fine now. I think that was one problem we had here was Riley had his hands a little too far into both sides. It wasn't CEO, and then of course Aaron Donald pulling up and helping out and everything does help a lot as well. I think it'll be fine. Huh?
They're tackling. That's really mature for Riley.
Yes, he got out of it. He stepped back. He said, "Defense, do your thing. Let me be a better CEO/OC by letting the defense just have the entire side of the ball and pay attention to, kind of like Dabo did when he had Venables." That's a huge, to me, step forward. I think y'all will be fine. Y'all will be just fine in the Big Ten. You're gonna be able to compete because I mean, Big Ten technically all you got is what Michigan and Ohio State. That's really it. I never touched Penn State.
Michigan State, you guys don't have to play with your line in that game either. So it's just 7-on-7. Oh no, yeah. Play Michigan State because they don't even have
they don't have any players. Their whole roster dude. Did y'all see Gino Vandermark hit the portal again?
Yeah. And
Chris. The dude that we thought that we were going to land that decided to go back to Michigan State, he's back in the portal.
Yeah, and listen, if
Vandermark
comes here and says, I want nothing, I'll walk on and do anything, I think we look at Vandermark. If Vandermark wants to have a conversation, we say, new phone, who dis? Because we went after you. And you chose to stay there. And now you realize, oh, well, maybe not. I mean, we need him. But at the same time, we don't need more promising future talent. We need the portal guys we're going to take are short-term rentals with good experience. Yes. And he doesn't add experience to our team.
Yeah, and that's what we've done best at. I'm gonna keep pointing it out. We do a really good job of taking experienced rentals that will help us get the young guys up and running, because that 24 class, man, I'm telling y'all, the 24 class feels like 23 and 24 feels like the BV classes that he wanted, especially on the O-line in 24. That 24 class was a trenches pickup that they desperately wanted to build the depth needed to be successful. So I think we'll be fine. All right, Chris, let people know where to find you. Go ahead.
Hey, hold on a second. I just want to point this out. We were talking about USC's schedule. Guys, it's going to be tough to start the year, and then you might catch something a little bit further down because you start the year off with LSU.
Please beat them.
Yeah, I would love for you to beat them. But LSU, and then 2 games later is Michigan State, and Utah State's between there, and then you got Wisconsin. So the first 4 games are going to be paramount, and we get to see maybe a new opportunity for Riley to become an actual head coach, or if he's bouncing. Because I think that LSU, Utah State, Michigan, Wisconsin start your season off in a new conference, and it's at Michigan. So it'll be fun.
It's gonna be fun. So, Chris, let the people know where to find you.
Hey, Horns Down Podcast on YouTube. Obviously, hey, Chris with a _K, Chris with a _K. Okay, KCH. You guys know the rest. Then at the Horns Down Pod on Twitter. So both of those are the Twitter handles, and you can find us at the Horns Down Podcast too. So yeah.
Chris, have you looked at the back of a quarter before?
Why you said it?
Look here, I'm going to zoom in. It's this. That's all it is. Okay. It's just that.
We out.
It won't show.
Peace.